I think good CIOs, good CIDOs, they don't use no as a default answer. I believe in a technique that is used in improv.
To get the latest technology provided by a CIO organization, as we are forced to increase efficiency, we need to reduce costs.
This is a bit of the art and the science of being, a modern technology and data digital leader in the enterprise. You need to work with your partner's ecosystem.
And sometimes you have to admit and say, okay, this is the best technology I can get, and I have to accept a higher price than maybe a company what is 10 times bigger than we are.
Welcome to the GBS Masterminds podcast. CIOs are from Mars, GBS leaders are from Venus. We have two amazing guests, Filippo and Lars. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Maybe I'll go first. Hi, everybody. My name is Filippo Catalano, and I am the Chief Information and Digitalization Officer at Reckitt, which is a very well-known company in the CPG world. We play in three areas. We play in health, and we play in hygiene, and also in nutrition.
Yeah, my name is Lars. I'm the head of business services and digital at Fresenius Kabi. So we merged IT and business services a couple of months back. I'm heading both, and Fresenius is a well-known company in the area of pharmaceutical products, nutrition, and also medtech.
All right, I guess. Welcome to the show. We'll jump right in. Filippo, the first question is for you, since you're a CIO. There is a perception out there that the CIOs are the office of the know. The CIOs want to optimize processes, scale most of the work into core ERP, less systems, and say no to a lot of things. Of course, there's a perception. I'm curious if this perception is true. Do you have a different point of view?
I definitely have a different point of view. I think good CIOs, good CIDOs, they don't use no as a default answer. I believe in a technique that is used in improv theater, which is basically answering questions with yes and an end, so that you actually continue the conversation and you keep the conversation going, up to the point that we, even in my previous company, we trained everybody in the function with a bit of basics of improv, so that they can actually learn how to say yes and then figure how to deliver. Because this way, you think more about the possibilities versus closing your world and your mind on the possibilities.
Awesome. I love the term, actually, improv technique. All right. Next question is for you, Lars. You're on the business side, a GBS leader. So kind of like a flip side perception, which is the business with the GBS is the office of the Fairytale. You kind of go get all these demos from all the vendors, cool looking, sexy looking solutions, and you want it now. And you expect the CIO's office to sign off. Is this perception true?
Absolutely. So GBS is one of the most important internal customers of the CIO organization, as we are bundling transactional processes. We're running the processes on SAP and other ERP systems. We are taking care for HR, procurement, and other administrative functions. And of course, we bundle lots of people in certain areas and certain centers. And it's a huge lever to get the latest technology provided by a CIO organization. As we are forced to increase efficiency, we need to reduce costs. And so this is why it's more reality than a fairy tale. So we need to align on what is the best mutual way to achieve the goals of the company. And here GBS has a strong voice in the IT organization. So if I give this group CIO a call or just ping him over Teams, it does not take 5 minutes until I have an answer, right? So this shows the importance of the GBS organization.
Got it. So I think maybe that brings me to the next question. So I'm just curious, maybe this is a question for you, Filippo, and then Lars, you can respond. Do you think GBS should have more control over its destiny in selecting and enabling technology, or how should be the framework?
Look, what I believe, again, going back to the point of modern organizations, I think that where shared service, a global shared service organization is in place, their mission is to deliver value also through technology, right? So you definitely want to make sure that there is a strong partnership. And this is especially if you have implemented modern IT in your company. Think about platforms and product management in the enterprise. In a lot of areas, most of your users will be anyway shared services users. So practical example, if you take one of the companies end to end, let's say you take, I don't know, plan to execute, the global planning processes. There will be people in shared services that use those technologies 90%, 95% of their time, right? So you want to make sure, if you're a good IT product manager, that your prime prospects, which are the people that use this in their day-to-day, they are part of the decision-making. They cannot be just some distant customers somewhere else in the enterprise. So definitely it needs to be very well connected.
Very good point. I think in essence, it's almost like we also think about it as a product manager. You need to be in touch with the end users, because otherwise you're not going to get adoption. If you just do an exec connect and get alignment and force a technology, you might implement, but the actual user adoption might not happen, right, Filippo?
Absolutely. The value will be tough to prove.
Some years back when I was with Mercedes, it was like the IT said, this is a standard solution I'm providing you and you need to use it. I said, I don't want it. It's not user-friendly. But today, we are speaking about platform technology, and everybody's in favor of platform technology, be it Celonis, be it HighRadius, be it ServiceNow.
What would be your recommendation, Lars, to, let's say we have a lot of listeners to this podcast, and some of them might have the situation where there is a standard company stack, and this is what you got, take it or leave it. If you're a GBS leader, how should they tackle that in their company?
So I would consider two things. First, make a decision, and not only based on a business case and a certain payback period, but also in the future direction, in terms of you want the most fancy piece of software, and it needs to be cloud-based and software as a service, as you're getting upgrades all the time, and without having to do a new release and so on. And second is look at Gartner. So they are doing very good research, and if I look at the right top at Gartner, be it process mining, be it O2C, be it P2P, I find the right picks, right? So it's so transparent nowadays, because there are some players in the market who are really doing well, performing well, and have a broad range of customers. I would always go to someone who has a broad range of customers instead of homegrown applications. I can do it better and so on. So Lufthansa, they said, all the travel booking engines on the market, they are not fulfill our agreements. We do it ourselves, 10 times higher cost, inflexible, very weak, and so it's not getting better. So look at the market, look at market research, and make your opinion, and ask your peers. So this brings you to the right decision.
Got it. Awesome. I'm going to switch gears now to a specific technology, robotic process automation, RPA. This was kind of gone through the hype cycle, but now I'm starting to hear a lot of noise. We're not sure if the RPA is effective, it's brittle, is the ROI there? A lot of the business folks actually went ahead and started doing the center of excellence, and now they're trying to run to the IT folks to help. So maybe like, Filippo, what's your point of view on RPA?
I think it's a very, first of all, it's a very hot topic in the industry today. When I talk to my peers in the industry, I have a philosophy myself. I have a motto that is basically that the best automation is the one that you don't need, because things already work. And I think that's important, because if you have the right architecture, if you have the right technology stack, if you have the right data modularity behind the scenes, you don't need to patch automation after the fact. Things can actually work already natively, organically. So the best is really the automation you don't need to slap on top later. So, but of course, the reality is that every company, including the companies I worked for, we always need to take into account the legacy set of things that we have to manage. And we will never have the funding, the prioritization to change everything at once. So there is still a role for automation in that case, but it's not a panacea that solves all the issues. It's actually can be quite cumbersome over time to maintain some of those RPA capabilities, because the software itself evolves through SaaS, the screen change, and a lot of things break if you're not careful. So that's definitely not something that is it's needed, is a bit of a necessary evil, but is not the answer to really the transformation of the company.
Got it. Just to make sure, Filippo, I understand that. So when you say best automation is the one you don't need, what you're saying is if you have the right software platform for a logical process, whether it is supply chain, procure to pay, hire to retire, order to cash, you should likely not need RPA bots on top. So really it's about the platform.
I'm a former enterprise architect many years ago. And one of the things you learn there that you always start from the business process architecture, the business capabilities, the business process architecture, then you define the end-to-end flows of your company in your industry, right? So how you run source to pay, order to cash, plan to execute, record to report, hire to retire, whatever your flows are in your industry. And once your business processes are clear, then only then you look at your technology data architecture that is going to satisfy those needs, okay? And if this is done in the right way and with the right precedences, very little, and you do the right choices. You need to make the right choices as well. Most of what you bring together works natively. You don't need to add other components to take care of gaps in how systems talk to each other.
Got it. Lars, your point of view on RPA?
So people come and invent bots for meaningless tasks. We should think about the processes, the platforms, all the technology we have behind, like Filippo says, and fully avoid these type of bots, especially when it comes to some changes. The bot has to be adjusted. So I don't know so many meaningful bots, but I know many bots that it's just give me a headache, and this is why I don't want them anymore.
Got it. Okay. All right. Switching gears to another topic, which is budgets and money. So I'm just curious, Filippo, at your company, how do you handle budgets and ROI and business case and what to do, what not to do?
I believe that if you have a strong technology organization in an enterprise, they should be the custodian and the decision makers with the right, collaboration, as I mentioned earlier, of everything that is that type of spend. Otherwise, it's very easy for third parties to divide and conquer on already limited budgets and not doing the right choices. So first is really to manage all the spend in the company as one pot, regardless of where it sits, which cost centers, which budgets, and so on. At the end, it's the same company. The second thing is that leaders are now under pressure to do more with less and show ROI, tangible ROI, with the technology investments of the companies, right? And a lot of the spend in the typical enterprise is very difficult to show a direct line of sight of value, because a good bunch of the spend goes into taking care of the basic foundations, which are table stakes for the company to operate. So be clear about that. My advice to people that ask about this is don't go and overthink business cases that are founded on nothing just to justify things that are obvious foundations. You want to have a resilient network. Yes, you don't have an ROI for that. You can make thousands of hypotheses. Oh, if the network is down for 5 days, that's not tangible value. So don't lose time. Work on the things that truly have a direct effect on the P&L of the company. The other thing I think that works, and the industry is moving a lot in this, is full transparency on the cost. The concept of total cost of ownership, the concept of total service cost, which helps also to reconcile some of the differences between IT organizations and some of the shared services. You cannot have organizations where the cost for technology in the shared services is borne only and let's say targeted into the IT leaders, and other organizations get a free ride showing a lot of value.
Lars, what about Fresenius Kabi and your prior experiences? How do you get budgets approved for what you want to get done?
So very different in the companies. So sometimes it's like you have to prove that you deliver value after 12 months or 18 months. So to justify the investments, sometimes it's like there is base budgets and you can just prioritize. And sometimes it's like a strategic investments and you can just make use of it. So depending on how much money the company earns and how cost sensitive they are, right? So worst thing I have experienced was really with the companies who were very short at money and who were in a deep crisis mode. They did not invest and said it just needs to be payback of 12 months because I cannot allocate any additional budget at all. In other companies, it was like, okay, there is a base budget. So now we have an unspecified budget of, 10 million a year. and whoever comes and has a good ideas can get it, and there is a certain group of decision makers who allocate it, but without any kind of rules also behind it, just perception. And here it's like very much if there is a strategic investment into really most modern technology, what is also is a lighthouse, also very important to communicate to the outside world, or to show that Fresenius is getting a modern company. So they give you some budget. So to summarize it, it depends on the success of the company. It depends on the industry.
Lars, follow-up question on that. This is something that I'm observing in the industry as we speak, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, where most companies are consumed by either an SAP S/4HANA project, if you're an SAP ERP, or an Oracle Cloud transformation. And then that is consuming so much time. Some of these are like $100 million to $1 billion budgets to 5 to 7 years, and everything else is taking a backseat. What's your take on that, like based on your own experience?
Yeah, so based on my experience, it's important to learn from others here, because there are so many companies who spend hundreds of millions into this type of projects, and I want to better understand what is their learnings, and so to really integrate this in my approach. Of course, we are looking into this. I experienced a central finance solution what did not work out well. I experienced unprepared S/4HANA project implementation approach what burned lots of money. So I'm still collecting information. I'm still interested in discussion with other people who have experienced the rollout.
Filippo, your take on this massive projects, both at Reckitt as well as what you're seeing with your peers?
Yeah, talk maybe with a broader lens, not just Reckitt experience on this, because I, as Lars was saying, this is something that we talk among peers all the time. Is the trap that has made the end of the career of many of our predecessors. When you start to put all of your hopes on transformation of a company in a mega multi-year program that is only a technology change, okay? And I believe that every time there is something that gets sold internally, externally, by a partner, by a set of partners, system integrator says, oh, you change this technology, you change this platform, and you will unlock so much value. My advice is to be very, very careful and suspicious of that. I don't know of any transformation that was just, I'm going to do a technology change. Because if you do the technology change, at best, what you get is maybe some better performance on certain things. But if you don't do your choices of what you do from a business, going back to my business process architecture point of view, when you do those type of things, you need to also to take a chance to clean up with the past, to eliminate your debt with the past.
Yeah.
And basically saying, what are those processes that we run in these systems? Can we actually run them as a standard with process outcome as a service versus another approach? And then really focus the company efforts on things that are specific to that company in that industry, the things that truly give competitive advantage.
One thing you brought up, Filippo, and we'll close with that is, I mean, I'm also in the software ecosystem. We are like an IT vendor, right? I think you called it a very important thing, which I think will be the last question, which is there is always a conflict of interest from the vendors to you, right? Whether it is a system integration partner. I mean, as you know, in the ecosystem, the services companies make 10 to 12x times of the license revenue. So what's your recommendation on, if could be anyone, right? Anyone comes and says, you should do this, has a conflict of interest of a big revenue for them. How do you see through that and make the right decision for yourself?
Look, this is a bit of the art and the science of being, a modern technology and data digital leader in the enterprise. You need to work with your partner's ecosystem, right? But you need also to be able to weave that partner ecosystem in the right way. You cannot have, oh, I am a company X shop, I am a company Y shop. You need to be integrating and orchestrating this ecosystem of partners in the benefit of your company, right? So you need to know the partners really well. You need to make sure that you give strong and clear messages through partners, and we use a concept that the industry knows since a while. Is called the joint business planning. So you create a joint business plan with each of the top partners, where you say, this is your basics, These are going to measure my basic operations with you. This is the innovation that we do with you. And this is the contribution to value. And for each of them as their positions, but also you set the expectation. That's the other thing for me that is important, that the partners are an extension of your company. So you want partners to collaborate with other partners, even if sometimes they are competitors in the marketplace, in the name of a common outcome.
All right, Lars, any closing thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, I agree with Filippo. So maybe two experiences here. So one was from Mercedes when they started the SAP implementation. It was like a technology partnership, R&D partnership with SAP to create the automotive standard. This was very much partner level and for the sake of both. Now looking into this type of business, we are not a super large company. We don't have this market power. And sometimes you have to admit and say, okay, this is the best technology I can get. And I have to accept a higher price than maybe a company what is 10 times bigger than we are. But let's do it all on a partnership basis. And you can look into the margins of the companies and understand how successful they are. And as we are with a 14-15% gross EBIT margin, so of course the partners know that we are not completely short in money. And so this is all balanced and fair. But partnership is key because complexity is very much in the details.
All right, awesome. Filippo and Lars, I know how busy the two of you are. Thank you so much. Wonderful insights. Have a good rest of the day.